Welcome to the Explainer. So what if I told you that one specific region has fundamentally shaped global wars, oil prices, and literally the entire landscape of international politics for over a century? We're talking about a place where superpowers pour billions, and I mean billions, of dollars, basically building their entire foreign policy around it. Yep, we're talking about the Middle East. Let's build a layered map together to uncover the hidden game being played out here and see how this single region is actively shaping the future of global power. Let's challenge the most common assumption right out of the gate. Look, when you think of this region, energy probably pops into your head first, right? But is it really just about oil? Or is there a much deeper, systemic reason why countries like the US, China, and Russia care so intensely about what happens here? To figure this all out, we're going to build our map in 5 distinct layers. Number 1, the crossroads of the world. 2, oil and strategic choke points. 3, the superpower chessboard. 4, regional stability and Israel. And finally, number 5, the future of global power.
Okay, Layer 1, the crossroads of the world. Let's look at the raw, unchangeable physical geography.
Way before a single drop of oil was ever pumped, the Middle East was already the absolute most strategic real estate on Earth. It literally locks together Europe, Asia, and Africa. Ancient empires spilled blood to control these trade routes, and honestly, modern powers do the exact same thing with shipping lanes today. Just think about it. A massive portion of all global maritime trade is forced to squeeze through these specific waters, like the Suez Canal. Whoever influences these geographic connection points holds just an enormous amount of economic leverage.
Which brings us to Layer 2, oil and strategic choke points.
Geography is absolutely crucial, but energy was the ultimate game changer here. Sitting beneath the ground in nations like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, and the UAE is just a staggering concentration of global wealth. This oil literally powers our entire modern existence. And we learned the hard way just how vulnerable we are during the 1970s oil shocks. Remember? Prices quadruple practically overnight, and global economies just ground to a halt. That era proved to every major player that having influence here isn't a luxury. It's the absolute bedrock of global energy security.
And this brings us to a massive geographical vulnerability, the Strait of Hormuz. It's this tiny, narrow waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. But get this, roughly 20% of the world's total oil consumption squeezes through here every single day. 20%! That is incredible, and it's exactly why global military forces monitor this exact spot literally around the clock. Control this single choke point, and you effectively have your hand on the dial of global energy markets.
It creates this terrifyingly simple chain reaction. If a conflict or a blockade disrupts shipping in Hormuz, the impact isn't just local. Boom, Step 2 kicks in immediately. Panic sets in and global oil prices spike, which then instantly triggers Step 3. The entire global economy suffers as the cost of manufacturing and shipping basic goods just skyrockets. So, a localized disruption in one tiny strait fundamentally dictates the health of the entire global economy. Crazy, right?
Moving on to Layer 3, the superpower chessboard. Let's look at the global heavyweights operating on top of this geography.
The primary players here, the US, Russia, and China, all want influence, but their playbooks are completely different. The United States heavily relies on military bases and alliances. Russia tends to use arms sales and diplomacy as wedges to challenge Western dominance. Meanwhile, China? They play a totally different game. They use trade and heavy infrastructure investment to secure their energy, deliberately trying to avoid direct military conflicts.
For decades, the United States has been the dominant external power, and their goals have remained remarkably consistent: protect energy, stabilize the region, and block rivals. Now, you might be wondering, wait, doesn't America produce most of its own oil now? And you'll be right, yes, they do. But remember that chain reaction we just talked about? Because oil is a global market, a price spike in the Middle East still instantly hits the wallet of the American consumer, so the U.S. strategic interest remains totally locked in.
China's approach, on the other hand, contrasts sharply. As the world's largest energy importer, they desperately need Middle Eastern oil. But instead of deploying aircraft carriers, they've opted for this quiet economic expansion. Through massive, multi-billion-dollar initiatives like the Belt and Road, China is building deep partnerships, buying up infrastructure, and securing energy, all while deliberately avoiding the messy, expensive military conflicts that typically entangle Western powers.
Next up is Layer 4, regional stability and Israel.
Because superpowers can't just dictate terms from afar, right? No discussion of the region is complete without acknowledging Israel's role. Its relationships with its neighbors have profoundly shaped diplomatic strategies and alliances for decades. See, regional conflicts here possess this unique power to ripple outward and disrupt global markets, so they attract intense, immediate global attention. For literally any superpower, navigating this intricate puzzle of local security is basically mandatory if they want to maintain global stability.
And finally, Layer 5, the future of global power. Let's look at how this region is actively future-proofing itself.
A lot of people still view the Middle East through the old lens, right? Total dependence on traditional energy exports. But a massive pivot is underway right now. The new Middle East is aggressively funneling its oil wealth directly into the future, with projects like Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 literally building entire futuristic megacities from scratch, and the UAE transforming itself into a global AI and tech hub. They are prepping for a post-oil world. They are ensuring they remain the geographic and financial center of the globe, no matter what it is that ends up powering our cars.
This actually brings us to a pretty fundamental realization about global geopolitics today. The modern definition of superpower control, it's no longer about direct occupation or, planting a flag in the sand. It's about systemic integration. It's weaving these complex webs of alliances, trade agreements, military partnerships, and holding the keys to the massive investment networks. Really, it's a competition over the systems that run the world.
Because ultimately, every major power understands one undeniable truth. What happens in the Middle East rarely stays in the Middle East. Its effects ripple everywhere. Whether it's the price of gas at your local station, the cost of global shipping, or the shifting balance of international alliances, this region is the engine room. Influencing the Middle East isn't just about controlling territory anymore, it's about holding leverage over the entire world.
So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. As the globe inevitably shifts toward renewable energy, will the Middle East's geopolitical power finally fade? Or, by pouring their vast wealth into AI, digital infrastructure, and next-generation tech, will they cement themselves as the unshakable center of the world for another century? It's a fascinating lens to view the news through. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time.